Braden McGill, should we try and get Tommy Castellanos?
Let me ask you this, Braden. Would you rather have him running the offense next year or are the two guys on the roster right now?
Well, when you put it that way, Corey Clark.
But here's what I would say. He's thrown 18 touchdowns and 5 interceptions this year, but he has not been the guy he was last year. Even though last year he threw 14 picks, he also ran for 1,200 yards. And it's like Bill O'Brien, and we saw it firsthand at Doak. He doesn't run. They don't really use his legs much. The only passes he completed at Florida State were swing passes to the running backs. And I think that was by and large kind of what they did a lot of the year. When you look at the overall numbers, certainly not terrible. Absolutely not terrible considering Florida State's current offense, but only ran for 1 touchdown. Look at all those numbers. He had like 16 yards, 15 yards, -9 yards, 43 yards. Last game, -10. I think he was banged up, was getting sacked more than usual. But let me put it this way. If you bring in an offense that can feature, has been shown to be able to feature a dynamic running quarterback, then yes, then absolutely. Like the most yards he ran for this season was the Florida State game. In Aslan, I didn't even feel like his legs were a big part of that game until the fourth quarter. He had like one drive when Florida State cut it close where he had 3 straight first down runs, and that was a wrap. That was a third of his yards. More than a third. That was 40% of his rushing yards all year were against Florida State. But then if you look at his numbers last year, he legit ran for 1,200 yards, Aslan, or like 1,150, which is just insanity. Yeah, 11-13 and 13 touchdowns. So this is a guy, 28-46. He's accounted for 47 touchdowns the last 2 years. He had 28 touchdowns last year for not a very good Boston College offense. I would that is a dynamic athlete. That is an athlete that is hard to cover. And if he's healthy, I personally think he is an immediate upgrade over what you have. But I might be biased because I've only seen him play Florida State twice. He played well in both those games.
I think it's also really good that he's shown the ability to be successful in probably 2 very different offenses, right? Like Bill O'Brien, I'm sure probably puts a little more constraints on you. And then last year, he probably was given a little bit more latitude. So the fact
so there's a nice mix. Like he only turned over 5 times this year with 18 touchdowns. But again, it was a lot of safe throws. It was a lot of just third down throws. There wasn't really anything. I watched a couple of games that weren't Florida State. He wasn't using his athleticism at all. And I don't know if it's because he's been banged up or what, but he didn't look like the same athlete. But we know it's there because we saw it in the first game of the year. The one caveat you have is his biggest strength is his legs. And that's always dicey with a quarterback because if they get a bum ankle or hurt their knee and can't move around much, well, they become much more less impactful, I guess, much less impactful. So, but yes, I would certainly be kicking those tires. I don't like that he left his team. I'll be honest with you. That's kind of odd. I'm not a big fan of that, but I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes and what those conversations were like.
Man, we need to get another intern. We got a whole bunch of questions.
Let's go. Let's get to them. Let's fly through them.
Let's go to our guy, Eric Gravitt. He's got some dollars for us. Thank you, Eric. Wake up, fellas. If having the choice, which side of the ball would you pay more money for new assistants? Also, shout out to Nole fans that went to South Bend despite being 1-8. Noles were everywhere. True traveling fan base. Amen.
Yeah.
They were all over South Bend. Shout out to all of you also that came out to the Cummins tailgate. Your presence was felt and reflected well upon Corey and myself and the brand that is warchant.com. So loved all of y'all. And man, it was awesome. It was supposed to be like hot dogs and hamburgers. They went full taco bar, but like high quality steak, and high quality. It was awesome. Like taco bar, and all the drinks were free, literally. So,
all right, Cummins.
We'll see. We'll run the back maybe next year. No promises, but we'll see how it all goes. Yeah, Corey. So I don't know, when your head coach is making all this amount of money, I think you have to put a little bit more of the chips on the black or the red, whatever color you want to deem the defense, if we're using a roulette analogy metaphor.
I agree, because Norvell is going to have some input in the offense. I'd like it to be much less than he has now, but he's going to have some input in the offense. You're going to have a whole new, you're going to have a whole new defensive scheme. And that guy's you're going to want a really good coordinator. So yes, I mean you're going to want it on both sides of the ball. I think offense is more important just because we're going to be in year 2025 and look at the teams that are really good defensively and what their records are, usually pretty good. But you look at those teams that score a ton of points. They're all good. And look at the teams that don't score any points. They're all awful. So, I just think in 2025, you can't have a bad offense. You can have an average offense or a decent offense. You can't have a bad offense. So that you need to get that right. But if we're going with Eric's question, and thank you very much for the donation, Eric, I would say, or tip.
Correct.
I would say I would spend a little bit more on the defense just because you're assuming the guy you're paying $10 million to will, help a lot with the offense.
I will say this again, not trying to give it all away and not trying to be a tease, not trying to be too much of a company.
Why? Absolutely do it.
Well, I mean,
it's what you got. Well, you can join for $1.
Yeah, that's true. But if you listen to the show, Corey and we disagree on what we think the path forward is going to be for the offense. I just don't see him giving up play calling. But if you look at this hot board, it leans in Corey's theory, hopes, if you will.
Can we make a friendly wager? Not money.
Yeah.
We got to make some sort of wager. How about this? If he does end up bringing an OC that is going to be the play caller, you have to go on a double date with me and Stephanie.
You don't have. Yeah, I want to.
And pay for it.
Okay, yeah. Whoever loses got to pay for it. There we go.
Right. There we go. Perfect.
All right. Awesome. I think Abby's watching this possibly. She sent me a photo of the
What up, A-Dog?
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate the $20 in the jar, man. Austin Flowers, also in some corners of the internet, I think known as Nole Dad for life.
Thanks, Austin.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Starting the Corey Clark Radiator Fund.
I appreciate that, Austin. Thank you, buddy.
The step to a $3,000 repair is a $5 super chat. The first step in it. By the way, Castellanos on the market. Maybe that guy from UNLV can make him the next Lamar.
It's kind of what I was getting at, Austin. That was what I was saying. My man, he's done really well with a mobile quarterback here these last 5 or 6 weeks. That bodes well to get him. If he were to come, if you wanted him, if you liked what he was doing, he's shown that he can move the ball and score points with an athletic quarterback, even if he's not maybe the most accurate thrower in the world. And also, don't you think Castellanos, I'm not trying to kick Brock or Luke out. I'm really not. And there might be better quarterbacks on the market. So you don't want to jump all in on Castellanos right now. But wouldn't that be a good stopgap? Because he can play at this level. He's not going to win you a national championship. But the reality is you're not going to win a national championship anyway, probably next year. But that is a good stopgap where he can make you respectable immediately.